Everything is happening all at once. All right. Hello, welcome. I'm Stooge. Today, we are continuing the Great Ace Attorney. Give me a moment while I make sure my now live notification got out on my Discord, which you can join here. And then we will get started. How is everybody today? All right, there it is. Hey, that's good. Let's get the game launched. I just have to find it. Because it has been so long since I've played it. Why suddenly Yanni? Loading. Please do not turn off your PC. Checking for DLC. Please do not turn off your PC. Let's get rid of that mouse. All right. The prosecution's argument is undeniably compelling. Let's take a look at the history. Let's see. All right. It is incumbent upon the defense to now bolster its argument. To explain what possible significance these commonplace articles pawned by this fine citizen could have. Well, counsel, is your argument in fact demonstrable? Are you prepared to show proof that the disc or the box are in any tangible way related to this case? Well, yeah. What's the matter, Runo? We know they're related, don't we? They're both vital pieces of evidence. Yes, of course. I know. You and I both know that. We know McGilda's true character, and we know the dislike and we know the disc is significant, even if we don't know why. But if we explain that to the court at this point, we'll have to acknowledge that McGilda's acquittal 2 months ago was a mistake. That the defense's argument was flawed, based on false information. Oh no! And that would mean admitting that Gina committed perjury. But Ginny... Oh, hold on. If I do that, things are gonna be really weird. Ah! Don't fall, controller. Could it be that Van Zykes knows? Is that why he's doing this now? Because he's anticipated everything? But maybe this could be a great opportunity for us. Sorry? What do you mean, Iris? Well, what is it that you always say, Bruno? Sooner or later, the truth comes out every time. Alright, the exact significance of the things that McGilda deposited with Mr. Windibank is something that only Gina can explain to the court. But if I put her on the stand to testify about that, it could critically damage our chances of winning the case. What's the right thing to do here? The right thing to do right now is save. I've already taken unnecessarily reputational damage. My lord, the defense would like to make a proposal. Oh, what proposal, counsel? While the court awaits the arrival of Mr. McGilded's small box, I would like to call the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade, to the witness stand. The defendant? To what end? It's to do with the various articles deposited at Windybanks by Mr. McGilded, my lord. Miss Lestrade has information relating to them. I believe it would be beneficial for the court to hear what she has to say. It will prove the significance of the articles in question once and for all. Well, things are becoming interesting. I presume you've considered the implications of the testimony you're proposing? In particular, the impact it will have on the accused's standings, and indeed your own. I have. Lord Van Zykes, would you care to explain that last remark? The prosecution accepts the defense's proposal. I move to interrupt the cross-examination of the current witness and hear from the accused herself. Very well, if you have no objection. The court will now hear the testimony of the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade. You witnesses currently in the stand may step down until further notice. Then I shall bid you good day. Wait. You, sir, shall remain in the stand with while Miss Lestrade testifies. You, sir, shall remain in the stand while Miss Lestrade testifies. As you wish. All right, then, Gina. It's time. I know this will be hard, but please, put your faith in me here. Good luck, Bruno. The articles that Mr. McGilded had deposited in the Windybanks pawnbrokery are intimately related with the omnibus case, the trial which was heard in this courtroom 2 months ago. Yes, and I remember this young lady being brought before me in that trial as well. That's right, my lord. Her testimony helped establish the innocence of the defendant, Mr. McGilded. The omnibus case was intriguing, to say the least. And now, here we all are again. The same players in that trial, facing each other once more. A twist of fate, perhaps, my Nipponese friend. Allow me to recap the events of 2 months ago. An old brickmaker was stabbed to death in an omnibus running along London's winter streets. Apart from the victim, there was only one other person in the carriage, Mr. McGilded. Naturally, he was the prime suspect for the murder. But as the trial progressed, another possibility emerged. Not true. Gina was there. Yes, Gina was there, Pokey. How are you doing? Objection! Yells Pokey. That the murder in fact took place above the defendant on the roof deck, with the body then being dropped through the skylight into the carriage below. It was Miss Lestrade whose testimony brought that possibility to light. At the time of the incident, Miss Lestrade was concealed underneath the seat in the carriage. I find it funny that there's no dagger in his gut right now. Hoping to pick pockets of unsuspecting passengers. Blah, blah, blah. Then, immediately after the trial, having been acquitted of the murder, Mr. McGilda died in the very courtroom in the most extraordinary of circumstances. In this very courtroom in the most extraordinary of circumstances. A mystery that remains unsolved, even now, 2 months on. Indeed, as does the omnibus murder itself. Be that as it may, I recall neither the disc nor this small box being mentioned in the course of those proceedings. Miss Lestrade? Would you tell the court now, please, what really happened in the omnibus 2 months ago, I mean? Oh, come on, Jeannie. Let me do my job. Thanks, Pokey. I don't know what you mean. I already said all what I know. And what about everything you told us yesterday from inside your prison cell? Please, Miss Lestrade. This is extremely important. But remember, little girl, if it transpires that you willfully withheld information in the trial 2 months ago, the Home Office will seek to prosecute you for perjury. And naturally, you will lose all credibility as a witness. Although, let's face facts, you have little credibility to lose. Ginny, don't listen to him. Please, you have to trust Runo now. Iris? We're on your side. All right, then. I'll talk. It's the right choice, Gina. Well, it would seem that my learned friend is hell-bent on bringing the entire courtroom down about his ears. So be it. I must confess that I'm struggling to understand what on earth is happening here. However, it would appear that Mr. McGilded's pawned articles and that extraordinary case of the omnibus harbor secrets of which we have yet to have been hitherto unaware. So, Miss Lestrade, will you now give your testimony before the court about the events 2 months ago? You will reveal the truth, A commodity surely lacking in your original statements. This is it then. Everything's going to come out. Like Van Zyke said, this could bring the whole courtroom down about my ears. But as a lawyer, I'm prepared to take that risk. The real truth of the omnibus case. The truth is, the brickmaker cove was in the cabin of the omnibus the whole time. When the Irishman dragged me out from under the sea, I saw that disc on the floor. All of a sudden, I heard a scream from above me, Ed. And that pair on the roof deck went off to call the slops. That's when McGill had slipped the driver some tin to do a run to the pawn shop roundabout. He threatened me not to snitch, not to say nothing to no one about what I seen or heard. Good grief, this is outrageous! What you just told the court almost bears no resemblance to your testimony from 2 months ago. As you say, my lord. Then there's every chance I may have adjudicated an error in Mr. McGilded's trial. Sounds very much to me as if the man deliberately deceived this court. Not just the court. In an effort to cover up the most wicked of schemes. Without a doubt, your lordship is correct. A great injustice was done in this courtroom 2 months ago. Well, 2 of them. Yes, because he had everything to do with it. The actions of the accused in that trial of this witness and of my learned friend are entirely inexcusable. We're waiting until this all passes, and then we'll read them all. Alright. I don't believe it! The whole trial was a farce? It was all lies? That McGilded fellow was rotten to the core, just like that pickpocket. Don't forget that lawyer from the East. They were all in it together. You're wrong, the lot of you. Mr. Naruto, the lawyer there, he had nothing to do with it. Humbug. I don't think so. Are we really expected to believe that? He really stitched everything up, didn't he? What an operation to get the man off scot-free. Unforgivable. Stop. The lies have to stop. Stop. Yes, the defense made a terrible error of judgment. I intend to take full responsibility and suffer whatever consequences are deemed appropriate. However, it's imperative that the court allows the witness to elaborate on her testimony. Because the true significance of McGilded's pawn articles must be brought to light. Very well, my learned student friend. Given the depths of calamity you just plunged yourself into, this may well be worth hearing. Words fail me. The situation is utterly deplorable. Mr. Naruto. Yes, my lord. I will decide upon your fate following the conclusion of this trial. Of course, my lord. Blimey, Mr. Naruto. Now, counsel, proceed with the cross-examination. The real truth of the omnibus case.
Hold it!
Press. And you were hiding in the cabin at the time as well, weren't you, Miss Lestrade? If I remember rightly, in the storage compartment underneath one of the seats. Yeah, that's right. It's pitch black under there, so you can't see nothing at all. Now, if your testimony 2 months ago, I feel certain that you claim Mr. McGilded was the sole passenger, did you not? False testimony, my lord. That's what he told me to say, I had to say. But it's important that you tell us the truth now. Were Mr. McGilded and the victim acquaintances? I don't know. But I did hear him talking a lot. What were they talking about? Well, I couldn't hear too well, but if I had to say, I think it was about money or something. They kept talking about buying and not buying. Perhaps business dealings of some kind. Well, anyway, they got louder and louder. It started to sound like a proper fight. I was pretty scared by then. I hardly dared to breathe, and then all of a sudden, I heard a noise like someone keeling over on the floor. It was blooming loud and all. And I believe you let out an involuntary scream? Yeah. That's what gave me away.
Hold it!
Was the disc you saw this disc? Yeah, I reckon it probably was. It was right next to the cove lying on the floor. Could this disc have belonged to the victim, perhaps? I don't know, but McGilded picked it up pretty smartest. And then he sat the cove with the knife in his belly upon the seat. What did he say to you at the time? He told me not to say a word about what I'd seen here or heard to no one. About the disc and all. I was dead scared. The way he was looking at me, though. The way he was looking at me, I thought, if I didn't go along with it, I'd get stuck with that knife, too. Then he started asking me a load of questions. Like what my name was and where I lived and that. I asked me about being a diver, too. But after a while, what had happened in the carriage was... what had happened in the carriage was noticed. Yeah, that's right. First there was this kind of rapping noise.
Hold it!
Why? There were 2 gentlemen occupying the seats on the roof deck, I believe. That's right. They must have looked down through the skylight and noticed the cove with the knife in his guts. When they screamed, the driver pulled up the horses, and McGilded got me out of sight. Out of sight? Where? Back under the seat where I started off. Once the carriage came to an halt, the 2 cubs from the roof ran off to fetch the slops. If they would have immediately left to fetch if they immediately left to fetch the police, it would appear they were entirely unrelated to the incidents. So that left McGilda, the driver, and you still at the scene. Yeah. Only the driver didn't know I was there because I was under the sight. I had the cabin door open and a voice from outside. The driver, yes, he also testified at the trial, I believe. A fellow who went by the name Beppo, if memory serves correct. I don't know why I'm so yawny, I'm sorry. What did McGilda and the driver say to each other? I don't know what happened and stuff like that, mainly.
Hold it!
That pawn shop obviously being Windibanks on Baker Street. Just a moment, counsel. Do you mean to tell me that the driver gave false testimony in that trial as well? Perhaps the excursion to the pawnbrokery slipped his mind when he was in the stand. Indeed, Lord Van Zykes. McGilda took off his coat and gave it to the driver. He folded it up all careful-like before handing it over. When I saw him do that, I remember thinking, that coat and what's in it's got to be worth a few bob. Yes, Gina was sure the disc must be worth more than Mr. Windibank was suggesting, wasn't she? I remember a quibble with him over the price that afternoon at the pawnbrokery. Oh man. The driver looked pretty happy when McGill had flashed some brass in his face. He went running off at a lick. Then the bog trotter called to me and told me to come out from the drag's cabin.
Hold it!
Threaten you? How exactly? He told me I'd only be able to scarp her if I did exactly what he said, which included giving false testimony in court 2 months ago. Yeah, that's it. There was another thing he said, which was, he told me I have to hang on to the ticket from the pawn shop and make sure not to lose it. He's going Australian. The ticket? Well, I never. Said that if he didn't show up to get the ticket off me before 2 months passed, I had to go to the pawn shop and pay the money to keep it in the lug to stop it from being forfeited. He left me with some brass to pay for it. But really, why on earth would Mr. McGilda have done such a thing? Depositing his overcoat with the pawnbroker before the arrival of the police, it makes no sense at all. There would be only one logical explanation, my lord. What McGilda had the driver deposit at Windibanks was something he didn't want the police to see. Something very important that he needed to hide at all costs. Anyway, after that, he let me go, so I legged it before the coppers showed up. Well then, Gina, it can't have been easy to tell the truth like that. Ginny's really put her faith in you, Runo. Yes. And to thank her, she'll have to face the charge of perjury once this trial's over. So I need to use that time. I need to use the time we have now to get as much information out of her as possible. It's time to really go for it. Press her on every statement. I did. I suppose I should. Oh, and another thing. What's that? Take a look at those two. Isn't it strange how they've been whispering to each other the entire time? Yes, that is strange. It looks like they're having a secret discussion about something. I'm not sure I'm completely comfortable with that. I wonder if there's anything I can do about it.
Hold it! Excuse me.
Is there something you'd like to share with the court, Inspector Gregson, Mr. Graydon? Inspector, Mr. Graydon! What? Blimey, you trying to give me a heart attack? You have been whispering to each other for quite some time now. Tell us, what is the discussion about? Discussion? With this fella? Pull the other one, Sunshine. You think I've got anything to talk about with this shady gent like this? And I have nothing to say to this uncouth detective after he deprived me of that disc that was rightfully mine. But they've clearly been talking the entire time I've been cross-examining Gina. It's as if they've been negotiating. Thank you, Miss Lestrade. Thank you, Counsel. I've heard enough. I believe we now have a reasonable understanding of what actually transpired in the omnibus. It would appear that on the night 2 months ago, a negotiation was taking place on the omnibus. A negotiation concerning this disc. However, matters did not run smoothly. When the parties involved began to quarrel over a price, McGilded took what he wanted by force, at the expense of the other man's life. Which proves my point that this disc is clearly extremely valuable in some way. Although, I don't understand why as yet. And 2 days ago, precisely 2 months after the omnibus incident, McGilded's coat and its contents were due to be forfeited. I didn't know what I should do with the ticket. I mean, the cub died right after his trial. I knew that. So you decided you would try to claim the articles as your own? Well, why not, eh? They were only going to be forfeited. Why shouldn't I have got them? Anyway, you can't blame me for thinking about it. Thinking ain't no crime. Miss Lestrade, it would appear Mr. McGilded was prepared to kill in order to take possession of this disc. Do you know why that would be? Hey, I ain't got a clue. Now I'm suddenly, I guess can't keep a voice straight. But I reckon it must be worth a fair bit of brass. He was probably gonna sell it. No. And you can't blame me for thinking that. Thinking ain't no crime. But perjury is. My lord. The evidence your lordship requested has been your lordship has been requested. The evidence your lordship requested has been located and is ready for the court's inspection, sir. The mysterious little box deposited by McGilded 2 months ago. There's no doubt in my mind that it's a key piece in this far-reaching puzzle. To be continued. Again. Why? Why is it always again? Yes, I will save my current progress. I hope I have chosen well. Continue. Nope. There's a fancy schmancy box. So, this is the article in question, is it? The small box deposited with the pawnbroker by Mr. McGilded 2 months ago. And on the night of Mr. Windibank's murder, the only item on the shelves that was touched by whoever broke into the shop. Quick, quick, let's open it and see what's inside. Nothing. Good gracious, this is no ordinary box, it seems. Wow, although in truth I had an inkling that it might be the case. It would appear that the box houses a miniature music box in movement. Then it's too much to expect. Then is it too much to expect? I think it would be reasonable to assume that it is a device for playback of this disc, my lord. So, here we have the means to play back Mr. McGilded's disc, deposited at Windibank's at much the same time. Not strictly correct, my lord. It was not McGilded's disc. It was the disc of his victim in the omnibus. But why, for heaven's sake? Are we to understand that the brickmaker was trying to sell this music box disc to Mr. McGilded? I believe the answer will become clear if we listen to the music on the disc, my lord. Yes, very well. Let the court now listen to the curious disc at last.
Hold it!
Wait, my lord. Good grief, what is the meaning of this, Inspector? We've already proven that they're not. The music box and the disc are, well, they're unrelated to this case. No need to spoil the somber atmosphere of the courtroom with some silly bit of music.
Objection!
This disc may very well have been the motivation. May very well have motivated the culprit in the case to commit murder. Clearly, there's every chance that it's fundamentally important to understand what happened. The prosecution has no objection. But no, that piece of evidence is police property now. You can't. Clearly, Scotland Yard has some vested interest here. But it is policy of this prosecutor to leave no avenues unexplored. Hey, Breeze, how you doing? My lord, it's the Backstreet Boys' greatest hit. It's my favorite song, sir. And you, Inspector, have no jurisdiction here to prevent that from happening. How you doing, Breeze? Oh. No further delays, please. Play the disc. I'm alright, just filling the online grocery basket of imminent bankruptcy. Yeah. What on earth? It's gotta be some sort of code. That's certainly not what I would call music. I'm sorry about that. No. It's just the same note playing over and over again at an irregular sequence. Mr. Graydon. This is really is priceless. After all, the music box is broken. Not broken. Broken? It can't be, can it? Well, obviously. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if the officer sent to fetch it didn't drop it on the way back to the courtroom. Well, with much regret, I feel the court must accept that this music box offers little in the way of clues. Are you ready to move on, counsel? Come on. Yes, alright. It does sound as though it's completely broken, but is it? Could this music emanating from the music box possibly be a new clue? I believe that could be relevant, my lord. Good lord, but how can it be? It's an abomination, counsel. Mere noise. I fail to see how that can possibly have any meaning whatsoever. It does sound strange, I agree, but there's one thing that's bothering me. While Graydon stands there chortling victoriously, the inspector beside him has a rather telling expression on his face. It's as if Gregson recognizes the sound, as if he's familiar with it somehow. And that's making him appear extremely on edge. If that's the stance of the defense, my Nipponese friend, answer me this. Oh? Can we have it added to the court record so I can actually examine it? Just what relevance do you propose, this woeful chiming? Fun fact, Baroque Van Zyk's, I know it's, if I'm actually pronouncing German, it'd be Van Zieks, but Zyk's rhymes with yikes. Nice. Was originally named Prosecutor Rival. Van Zyk's is definitely better and more humorous. Van Zoinks, Scooby! Van Zoinks, Scoob! Just what relevance do you propose this woeful chiming has on this case? It is the defense's belief that the sound emanating from this music box is not supposed to be music. Just because this is a music box doesn't necessarily mean the sounds we're hearing are music. Sorry about that. Look at that. The smile vanished from Graydon's lips as soon as I said it. I'm on the right lines here. I must be. Making deductions based on how people react to what you say. You're acting just like Hurley, Runo.
Objection!
The sounds we're hearing aren't necessarily music. Well, now that you've told us that, what they are not. I'm sure the court would like to hear what they are. Enlighten us, my Nipponese friend. Well, surely you have an idea in mind, because if not, it will be the death of your ill-formed argument. Exactly. The music box is clearly broken, and refusing to accept that fact is pure foolishness. They've got me. I don't know what the answer is yet. Runo? I've just examined the music box very thoroughly, and I'm fairly certain that it's not broken at all. Really? Really? The way it's been made has only it can only produce one note. Anyway, yep, I noticed that when we saw it. All of the tines on the comb were the same length. Normally on a music box, you have your comb bar, and it's got a slight angle to it like this, so that each comb tooth plucks a different note. Thank you, Iris. Alright, well, if the music box isn't broken, it must mean that the sounds it's producing have some significance that isn't musical. Ah! Could it be? Is that what these sounds are? Something's just struck me, Bruno. I feel like recently, in the past few hours even, I've heard another sound very much like this one, like the one the music box makes. Yes, it's a familiar sound. Actually, Iris, I was just thinking the same exact thing. Okay, so it is Morse code. I was thinking it might be Morse code, but the long breaks, like the really long breaks, must be words. Must be breaks in words. I'm going to have to press the defense for an answer. If your assertion is that the sound produced by this music box is not in fact music at all, then what the devil is it, counsel? Although the evidence we've seen so far, all the evidence we've seen so far, and all the testimony we've heard, it's all pointing to one single answer now. The prosecution demands my learned Nipponese friend's presence proof now. Tangible proof of this latest wild speculation. Alright then. This could be the best chance I'm going to get to fight back in this trial. And if I'm right, it's going to join all the dots together. The evidence that explains the true nature of the sounds in this music box disc is boom, 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 bam, bam, boom. Let me see. Okay, there's nothing there. Three eyewitness testimonies. Nope, not there. Do do do. Gun belonging to the victim. Yep. What am I missing? What am I not seeing? What am I missing? I need to find. Is there anything that's Morse codey? Because they've established the existence of the telegraph. Kitty. Dun, dun. And overcoat. A small box. Hound of the Baskervilles. Worked 2 months ago. Bullet to the back, no other sign of trauma. Where is... What am I missing? I don't know of anything that ties back to... I don't know of anything I have that ties back directly to Morse code. The best I've got is a newspaper. Unless you go with something that is tangibly similar, like the stereoscope.
Take that!
Yeah, that's wrong. Obviously, it's this. I'm afraid to say, Counsel, that you were being rather optimistic with that leading obviously there. If I'm honest, as I thumped my hands down just now, I had an inkling that was going to hurt me more than the bench. Well, at least one of your inklings was correct then. Ugh. The arrhythmic tingling sound of the music box makes us definitely familiar somehow. It's almost like some sort of code. The question is, how do we show that the tingling sound has a connection to this case? Perhaps I should have a good look through through all the evidence in the court record again. I'm gonna have a good look through the court record again too, I think. See, I don't... I feel like the that we're hearing in the background of the music is also some sort of code. What am I missing? What am I not seeing? This man defended a corpse a couple months. Yes, or rather mistakenly defended. I wonder what his name is doing on the back of the disc. That's a question I'd love to know the answer to myself. Oh, of course. Maybe, anyways. Let me...
Take that!
Nope. Alright.
Take that!
I did not mean to do that. It's one thing to willfully do the stupid. It's another thing to accidentally. So I was thinking that maybe the fact that Windabank required a password or to... There's a sensational story lower down the front page as well. Look, Ministry Mole. Classified secrets may have been leaked overseas from Minister of Justice. For a 10-year-old? Whoops. For a 10-year-old. Iris certainly has her finger on the pulse of the world news. It's a secret about communication. It's about secret communications between Great Britain and its allies. There we go. I just didn't see this article on the backside. That really does look like it could be a photo of Truman. Which would be way out of left field because Truman wasn't president for another roughly 60 years. Apparently they're being intercepted by hostile communications. How would somebody be doing that? That's the question, isn't it? I've come up with 3 different possible methods so far. Are you looking for a new career, Runo? No, of course not. Debatable. I wonder. Perhaps this is what Lord Strongheart was talking about yesterday. Yes, it could be. And it could explain why he has Gregsy running from pillar to post at the moment. The details of today's paper have been updated in the court record, and they're now relevant to the case.
Take that!
Today's paper, Counsel. The headline is Pawnbroker Perishes in Pick Purse Plunder. Hardly supportive of your cause. No, my lord. I was hoping you'd look a little bit further down the page. Further down? Ministry mole classified secrets may have been leaked overseas from Minister of Justice. Yes, this was a very serious matter being investigated at the highest level, I understand. I have heard that international transmissions along with supposedly secure lines are somehow being intercepted. And leaked to various other countries. Presumably those transmissions are in the form of wired telegrams. Of course. Juror number 5, your input, please. Stop. Oh, me, sir? Whatever is the matter? Me, sir, whatever is the matter? You told the court before that you worked at the same communication station as Mr. Graydon, did you not? Yes, that's correct. And the particular station where you work deals with government communications and newspaper reports. Oh, yes. We're not your run-of-the-mill communication station at all. Our work is extremely important. Then tell me, is this not a very familiar sound? You don't mean to say it, is it? That's right, madam. It bears more than a passing resemblance to the sound made by your telegraph machine as you type. I believe it's called Morse code. But I don't believe it! Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but when it comes to leaking telegrams from government departments, there could be nobody more perfectly placed than a highly skilled communications officer. Are you suggesting the music box disc contains stolen government secrets in Morse code? Order, 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 please. Everyone order. But this is high treason, Counsel, deserving of capital punishment. Too much new vocabulary. What is this treason? And what is capital punishment? The sorts of words I'd half expect you to know. For our sovereign government's confidential information, hostile nations would surely pay almost any price. Yes. And on that night, 2 months ago, that was the very negotiation that was taking place inside the omnibus. But in the end, Mr. McGilded perished, and all the information, all the important disc lay unclaimed. And the all-important disc lay unclaimed at the pawnbrokery. My word! In which case, whoever stole that information in the first place must surely be the one, must surely have been beside himself with worry. Because if the disc were to be discovered before it found its way out of the country, it would reveal an act of high treason, punishable by death. Sorry about that. So the culprit had no choice but to retrieve it. And in order to do that, he would have to gain entry to the pawnbrokery illegally in the middle of the night. Because the article left behind by Mr. McGilded would have incriminated him too much if it got in the wrong hands. Isn't that right, Mr. Graydon? You think I've been stealing government secrets? Preposterous! Absolutely preposterous! So in response to the defense's accusation, you claim a complete innocence, do you? Well, of course I do! I've had to stand here in silence while the pretentious foreign lawyer has been prattling away.
Objection!
Then by all means, counter the charges, sir. Yeah, treason is one of the few crimes that if you get accused of it, it's not, when I say one of the few crimes, I'm talking about legally. It's one of the few crimes where it's more like you have to prove yourself not guilty. Rather than or you have to prove yourself not guilty rather than being proved guilty. The prosecution demands the witness testifies in response to the accusations brought by the defense. Delighted, I'm sure. The witness is reminded that the crime under scrutiny in this trial is the murder of the pawnbroker, Mr. Windibank. That being a most flagitious offense. Flagitious? I've never heard that word before. For which the law of the land sanctions a capital punishment. But the heinous act of high treason is no less a serious crime. I urge you, bear that in mind as you testify, Mr. Graydon. So then, let us proceed. You may... You gotta let us have a rabbit and pork. Here, Governor. We got things to say. I beg your pardon? Who do you think you are? Name's Nash Skulking. Occupation is professional baddie. Name's Ringo Skulking. But we ain't baddies enough to sell out our motherland. All right. Time to do a quick Google. Go away, AI. Okay. I guess it's not so bad. I always I like to look for stuff like that. All right. That's right. Well, what will they call the three Skulkin brothers? Bad timing, fellas. Very bad timing. I can't keep my voices straight. I'm sorry. And it's starting to grate on my voice as well. Graydon's counter. A mere communications officer couldn't possibly steal confidential government information. Besides, the sounds produced by that box aren't even Morse code. It was some low-class brickmaker negotiating with McGilded anyway, was it not? I've no relation to the man. I can't, let's see, actually I might be able to, let's see. Court record? No, court record. Is he in my stuff? No, he's not. So, the only picture I've got of him in the court record comes from here. I don't know. I kind of see a relation, don't you? Look, all we done is break into the gaff the other night like what he told us to do. If we'd known there was dodgy government secrets involved, we wouldn't have touched it. Mr. Skulkin. One Mr. will do you, Governor. What's up? Do I take it you now admit to the crime? That on the night in question you did indeed gain entry to the premises illegally? And moreover, you did so as a party of 3 in collaboration with Mr. Graydon here. We did, Gov, we did. Quieten down. Welcome back an hour later, Pokey. I guess the half-hour thing took a lot longer than you thought it would. Quieten down, please. What say you to that, Mr. Graydon? I have no idea what these 2 ruffians are referring to. You little rotter, getting us mixed up in all this monkey business? You never said nothing about no government secrets. It was supposed to be a straight-up job. And what about the geezers whose shop it was, eh? Poor old bloke didn't have to die, did he? Nice to know who your friends are. Yeah, because it was a case of come over and do this one thing that was followed by, oh, and this thing, and this thing, and this thing. Yeah, I know that feeling. Whatever these men say, I deny the accusations. Indeed. Well, I certainly wasn't expecting this little music box to become so significant in the proceedings. However, as it has, I will admit it to the court record as evidence. The small music box has been entered into the court record. Yay, I can finally examine the damn thing. Oh! What is it, Bruno? I've just noticed something about this music box. It looks like the bottom of it opens up as well. Ah, you're right! Well, come on then, what are you waiting for? Let's open it. Alright then, here goes. Look at that, there's another movement on the bottom, on the underside. So does that mean you can set another disc to play back on the other side? Yes, I think so. It looks like the 2 movements are linked together. They're linked. So if you had 2 discs, they would both play back to back at the same time. Well, Pokey, I heard you liked music boxes. See how the Formigolidus sits in the music box? The man deposited at Windybanks? It couldn't be a more perfect fit. So there's no question that this disc was designed to be played in this music box. Yep. Despite that, the sounds it produces are neither musical nor do they appear to have any meaning. It just doesn't make any sense. I wonder if perhaps there's more to this music box than meets the eye. Maybe we haven't discovered all its secrets. Let me spend 30 minutes explaining how stereoscopy works before saying that it can work for the ears too. Yeah, how about no? Is there anything else? So you actually put it down like this. At least when you're playing when you're playing two music boxes. Gosh darn it. All right, I'm gonna stop. I was just trying to get it to be flat. Okay. Press. No, not present, press.
Hold it!
So in this newspaper, the headline is so is this newspaper headline accurate? Government communications are being intercepted. How could I possibly know? What do you mean by that? Any important government communications are handled by high-level officers, by specialists. General members of the staff in the station where I work would never be entrusted with sensitive information. Oh no, stop! I must say something, stop! Let me guess. Juror number 5. We regular communication stations officers aren't as lowly as you're being led to believe. A team of us are responsible for setting up and testing the telegraphs used by the ministry. And Mr. Graydon is the team leader. That's fascinating. Actually, it is, because it would give him the perfect opportunity to install a backdoor, as it were. Graydon is a highly skilled operator. Stop. Currently in the presence of idol. Stop. So you have access to equipment used for these confidential communications, Mr. Graydon? Well, what of it? The transmissions are always made behind closed doors. They can't be heard. They can't be intercepted. And in any case, all messages are sent in ciphered. Normal employees couldn't possibly understand them. Oh no, stop. I must say something. Stop. Mr. Graydon regularly attends meetings with the ministry technicians and the ministry communications team. He assists them in ensuring that there are no errors in important international communications. And he received the top prize as the cipher cracking convention 5 years in a row now. That's fascinating. Again, random pool of jurors. Graydon is a highly skilled operator. Stop. Currently in the presence of idol. Stop. Well, your idol would appreciate it if you'd keep your mouth shut. She should really pick her idols more carefully. Never meet your heroes. I tell you, this lawyer's accusations are completely unfounded.
Hold it!
They're not. To anyone with a brain, that would be blatantly apparent on listening to that music box for even a few seconds. Of course, of course. Surely it can be that my learned friend is unfamiliar with Morse code. Ouch, he looks genuinely shocked at my ignorance. I would be more than happy to demonstrate the basics for you, sir. A lesson here in court? Morse code is a continuous series of two distinct tones. Tones. Guess what, Pokey? Here comes a half-hour explanation of Morse code. Tones, you say? Yes, a short dot and a long dash. By combining those those in different ways, you construct the letters. I see. For example, this A, this is A, and this is B. When you listen to the sound produced by this music box, you only hear one tone, don't you? But it sounds so similar. The rhythm is the same in everything. But there's no discernible meaning to this apparently random sequence of sounds. So your assertion is fundamentally flawed. This is not Morse code. No! Really, you shouldn't be surprised. What did I tell you? That music box is nothing but a worthless piece of scrap. Perhaps you might consider studying your subject matter before casting aspirations in the future. Stop. Nothing to say but stop. Oh, it's so frustrating, isn't it? Harris, I mean, if the government secrets were somehow being leaked at using the music box, so many other things would slot into place nicely. Could there still be something I haven't considered? Would it really be impossible to use this music box somehow to play back more? Nope. 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 For the time being, yeah. Such yes. I am angry with me right now. All right, I'm just ignoring this. Those gesticulations are really starting to. Yeah. Yeah. I already. Okay. Now I gotta go back. Give it a try. There's still every possible this music box was an instrument in leaking. That's the belief of the defense, at least.
Objection.
Does it please you to, in some way, to repeat the same line of argument ad infinitum? Has it really been established that that to be Morse code, 2 dots are required 2 tones are required, dots and dashes. Yes, I'm well aware of that. Then what? Well, it would appear the defense has a hypothesis to put forward. You had better present your idea at once, Counsel. How do you propose that this music box, which appears to produce only a single tone, could possibly have been used to decipher secret messages in the Morse code? Oh! What is it, Rena? Yeah. I've already done this. There's another movement on the other side, yep. Uh-huh. Yep.
Got it!
Got it! Good gracious, what am I looking at here? Another movement on the other side, underside of the box? What? It appears, my lord, that the 2 movements are linked together. In other words, you can put 2 discs in this music box. So correct me if I'm wrong, but in the messages, if the message is at a steady place, could you not, with some work, make out the sentence if you only have dots or dashes and not the other? Not necessarily. Because remember that area where I was talking about well, you weren't here for that, I don't think. So there are areas where you have large gaps, which could be multiple dashes. So you could come up using an algorithm and a computer, you could possibly do it. You could at least limit it to multiple possible things. But doing it by hand would be no trivial matter. In other words, you can put 2 discs in this music box, and the sound of both will play back at the same time. Good heavens! As the court has heard, Morse code comprises of 2 tones, a short dot and a long dash. With a second disc in place, the music box could be used to generate Morse code and convey a message. This is beyond a joke. This is beyond a joke, I'm sorry. This poor excuse of a lawyer has absolutely no evidence to support his claims. Though, of course, if my learned friend were able to present the court with the second disc, that would be another matter. Well, I can't at the moment. No, but you could use the fact that you witnessed him saying that there's supposed to be 2 discs. When he tried to claim that disc at the pawnbroker. Just a thought. And may I remind the court that, as the witness has pointed out, he was not the one in the omnibus with McGilded 2 months ago striking a deal over the disc. Or discs. Indeed. That was Mr. Mason, the brickmaker. Exactly. I had nothing whatsoever to do with it. Though it has holes, I must admit the argument presented by the defense has much promise. I believe the cross-examination should continue. The link between Graydon and the victim of the omnibus case must be there somewhere, but I haven't found it yet. Oh dear. Looks like you need to give your argument more strength, Bruno. You will reiterate your testimony if you please, Mr. Graydon. If I must, though I maintain exactly what I did at the start of this pointless cross-examination. Alright. I've got to do a quick BRB, give me a few minutes, and I appreciate everybody's patience. Thanks, Demo. How are you doing? All right. I got some cereal. Because, as is typically the case, you just woke up? Okay. Because it's... Ugh. I accidentally hit the button. I'm gonna turn off the camera because nobody wants to watch me eat. So, 2 months ago, in that omnibus, McGildy killed the brickmaker and stole the disc. Mr. Mason was a single man with almost nothing to his name. Mm-hmm. It seems he lived in an artisan quarter some years ago, but people there remember little about him. It turns out cereal might have been a mistake because you have to eat it relatively quickly, otherwise it just gets sucked into a soggy mess. So that's unfortunate. So pardon me. I'm sorry. I used to do that demo. Not so much anymore. That doesn't make sense though, does it? How would a humble brickmaker come to acquire secret government information? I'm trying to eat quickly so as not to delay things too much. What's your go-to cereal, Demo? How indeed? Frosted Flakes is good. Frosted Corn Flakes. I'm a fan of frosted shredded wheat, the minis. There must have been somebody else involved behind the scenes in all of this. Somebody who acquired the disc and gave it to Mr. Mason. In order to take the meeting with and negotiate a deal. Oh yeah, the giant ones? Mm-hmm. That's fair. That's fair, Pokey. Dear me. You may have it in for me, sir, but I assure you I have more class than that. I mean, the U.S. had Mr. Kellogg and his brand obsession with combating self-pleasure. An old brickmaker from an artisan quarter and this well-to-do communication officer. Only I could link the two of them together. I feel like I might have done something wrong there. Nope. Sorry about that. I mean, I could be misremembering that Kellogg was actually a doctor. Yeah. He was a health nut with yogurt enemas. Yes, really. And he thought that cornflakes would stop masturbation. Whoopsie. If you have nothing more to add on that note, let us return to the witness testimony.
Hold it!
Like Mr. Graydon told you to do, you mean? That's it, yeah. Who else, eh? Silly me thought we was just popping over for a natter after all them years. But the rotter had a dodgy job for us. Hey, Ash? Let me stop you there, Mr. Skulkin. After all them years, you say? Do you mean to tell me that Mr. Graydon is an acquaintance of yours? We're the sociable kind of baddies, you know? Sure, let's say Graydon an old China.
Excuse me.
I mean, you're not wrong. There's something wrong, Mr. Skulkin. Eh? No, the other Mr. Skulkin. What? Oh, me? When your brother was testifying just now, he said something that seemed to cause you to react. Oh, I was just remembering the old days, that's all. We used to have us a right old laugh together way back when. Together, with Mr. Graydon, you mean? Yeah, with Ash. I mean, you look at him now and in his fancy whistle and flute. And you wouldn't Adam and Eve him. You know, you wouldn't Adam and Eve it. But when we was younger, he was from the poor part of town just like us. Is that so? But he was always a leery one. He had the brains. He had the savvy. Always coming up with smarter ideas like what would never have gone through our heads. God blimey, ain't that the truth. Remember Milverton and Skulkin's Milk Run? That was a corker, eh? Save it until after the trial. Save it until after the trial. Your reminiscing has no place in this courtroom. And neither does your fruit. Boy, the geezer asked us a question, didn't he? And we was answering it. Yeah, we ain't done nothing wrong. Nevertheless, the court is not prepared to accompany you on your trip down memory lane. Counsel, can we turn our attention back to the testimony, please? I don't know. Could that sentimental story be relevant somehow? Add it to the testimony. My lord? Yes, counsel. The brother's last sentimental statement could hold vital information relating to this case. They have now become character witnesses. Very well, counsel. I will permit the brothers to supplement their testimony with that detail. Briefly, I hasten to add. Sorry about that. Say no more. Skulkin' never skulkin'.
Hold it!
I'm sure I'm going to regret asking, but what exactly was that? Some kind of business? Just a little scheme we had going back when we was youngsters. A bit of fun, really. Delivering fresh milk to the locals, that's what it was all about. That sounds alarmingly legitimate. There must be a catch. The business name, oops. The business name. I suppose since we're here, I should ask them to elaborate, but on what? So the business was just a bit of fun, you say? And it was just yourselves and Mr. Graydon involved? Yeah, that's it. Milverton and Skulkin's milk run, was it? Yeah, that's it. And where did the Milverton come from? Oh, right. I thought a clever clogs like you have worked it out by now. Enough of this. How much longer are we expected to listen to this drivel? I don't. Let me guess, you don't accept anything these two witnesses are saying. Tell me, why is it that it was only at the mention of the name Milverton you decided to interject? Because well, it wasn't the happiest homes that one came from. Yeah, his old man was struggling for money and so much. His wife walked out on him. She took the name Graydon then, see? But Ash will always be a Milverton to us. Milverton. So that used to be your surname, did it? Of course not. This is all bunkum. I've been a Graydon since I was born. Do you really think you can rely on the testimony of these two thieves? You're a communications officer attached to the civil service. As such, your personal details will have been thoroughly checked at the time of your appointment. It would be a very simple matter indeed to subpoena those records, Mr. Graydon. Well, it would appear that Mr. and Mr. Slocum's testimony has been reliable for once. You were born Ashley Milverton, then? Is that correct? Very well, yes. So, Ashley Graydon was once Ashley Milverton. That information could change things, and could turn out to be extremely important. Ashley Graydon's personal profile has been updated in the court record. Alright, court record. I think it just says Mr. Thrice-Fired Mason. Although Mason could be a first name. So it could be Mason Milverton. Let's check the... There we go. There we go. It's not picking up. I can't help it. But there we go. All of a sudden, we seem to be up to our necks in a serious matter of national security. Although, all this talk about interception of secret government messages is still a conjecture at this stage. It would explain the number of things, though, wouldn't it? The negotiation Jenny overheard at the omnibus 2 months ago, and the break-in at Windabanks. But the trouble is, it wasn't Mr. Graydon in the omnibus. It was with Mr. McGilded. No, that was Mr. Mason, the brickmaker, who was so horribly murdered. If there was some link between the two men somehow. I know, but Mr. Graydon's testimony seems to be as watertight as ever. I wonder if the key to us making headway in the cross-examination here could be those two brothers. Present weapons! Mr. Ashley Milverton. Tell me, why did you try to hide your former name from the court? Because I haven't gone by that name for years. It means nothing to me. No, I don't think that's the real explanation at all. The truth is, you had reason to hide that name. Explain yourself, please, counsel. I have here the notes from the omnibus case, my lord. And as we all know, the victim, the man who we now understand to have been negotiating with Mr. McGilded. Yes, Mr. Mason, the brickmaker. That's right. Only Mason wasn't his surname at all. It was his given name. His full name was Mason Milverton. Milverton? Do you mean to say, saints alive? Mr. Ashley Milverton, is it not the case that the brickmaker, Mr. Mason Milverton, was your father? I don't. As I believe I mentioned earlier, your family history will have been thoroughly checked when you join the civil service. And it really would take no time at all for the court to subpoena those records. The truth is, you have been illegally acquiring highly confidential information and selling it on to McGilded in collaboration with your father. Ah! Why is he pointing at? Why was he? Why was he pointing at Van Zykes? Shouldn't he have been pointing at Milverton? I mean, Graydon. The new facts and evidence unveiled by the cross-examination of this witness all comes together to reveal the truth. The truth, you say? That you collaborated with your father, Mr. Mason Milverton, in illegal dealings with Magnus McGilded. By dint of this music box, you mean, counsel? Yes, stealing information being sent in secret government communications and selling it onto McGilded. Mr. Graydon concocted this elaborate scheme using 2 music box discs to encode the information, as presumably a safety measure against the information falling into the wrong hands. And the very effective one. I should have given the scheme the credence. I shouldn't have given the scheme any credence of whatsoever. But the deal with McGilded went sour, and the brickmaker met his end. Yes, but before he was arrested, McGilded managed to temporarily dispose of the stolen disc at the pawnbrokers. Then, having learnt of the situation, you appeared at Windibanks 2 days ago in an attempt to recover the 2 articles McGilded had placed there in pawn. But that attempt failed. One of the discs was seized by the police, and the other you never found. So that same night, you enlisted the help of the Skulkin brothers and broke into the pawnbrokery. This time to determine to recover the second disc. Are you suggesting the second disc was inside the music box? Eh? Wait, we never knew nothing about that. On the night of when the bank was killed, yay, we have to sit through this animation that shows the music box had moved. The intruder to the pawnbrokery touched one item and one item only, the music box. As rather ingeniously demonstrated using the 2 prints from the security camera, indeed. So the question that naturally begs answering is this. Why was only one of the articles disturbed? The answer is obvious, because it contains the second disc, which the intruder was desperate to retrieve. Since if it were to fall into the hands of the police, it would be proof of high treason. Well, Mr. Graydon, do you deny that all of this actually began on that fateful night 2 months ago? Here comes the laughter. I refuse to accept any of this nonsense. Look at his arm, look at his arm. Sir, there appears to be blood seeping through the sleeve of your jacket. What? 2 nights ago, we know that 3 shots were fired at the scene of the crime in Windibank's pawnbrokery. One took the life of the pawnbroker himself. One struck the pouch around Mr. Holmes' waist. And the final bullet struck the calendar on the wall of the shop, having first pierced the arm of one of the intruders. Mr. Graydon, that wound on your arm that you seem to be trying to hide is a bullet wound, isn't it? He's got you now, me old China. Time to call it quits and croak, I reckon. Don't acknowledge my presence there under any circumstances whatsoever. Those were my terms, remember? And I paid you handsomely to comply. Clearly, I was a fool to think I could trust some common back slum thieves. Fine, I admit it. I was there in Windibanks that night. I paid this pair 10 guineas to accompany me. As you've noticed, I sustained an injury in the course of my adventures. But that's all. But that is all. I admit to nothing more. Stealing government secrets? Negotiating with Mr. McGilded? As God is my witness, I'm sure I recall nothing of the sort. He's not going down without a fight. Not until I can show hard evidence, I suppose. Nevertheless, the defense now has established a crucial fact. Which is... Well, we know that 1 bullet was fired from each of the 2 firearms we have in evidence. The bullet from the Skulkin brothers' gun hit the pouch around Mr. Sholmes' waist. And the bullet from Mr. Windibank's gun clearly must have been the one that caught Mr. Graydon on the arm. Indeed, it must. We can rule out the possibility that the man shot himself. And that leads us to only one conclusion. Mr. Windibank was shot by a 3rd gun, which can only have been fired by the 3rd intruder. Goodness! That's right, Mr. Graydon. The only person who could possibly have shot Mr. Windibank that night is you. Hold it. You little upstart. You made a grave mistake when you summoned me here. What? What's that supposed to mean? Yes, as you rightly say, I was there that night, there at the pawnbroker's that night. I did my best to hide the fact, naturally. I had no intention of ruining the distinguished career I'd built for myself at the communications station. But did the thought never cross your mind? Did you never consider the possibility? What do you mean? What thought? What possibility? The possibility that if I was there at the scene, I may have witnessed the crucial moment. You see, this makes me a key witness in this case, and I have my hands firmly around the neck of your client. What? Are you suggesting? I saw it all. I saw the very moment that pickpocket girl pointed that gun at that poor, defenseless pawnbroker and shot him. You... What? Yay, now we gotta pick apart him. Order! 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 Well, it would seem we are finally entering the last act of this theatrical trial. Mr. Graydon. Yes. I trust you are fully aware of the implications here. If it is shown that your claim is false, you will have incriminated yourself as the killer. Oh, I understand fully. Then I must ask you to give your formal testimony once more. You will explain to the court precisely what you saw at the moment the defendant allegedly shot the victim. Nothing would give me greater pleasure. The moment of the shooting. While these ruffians were jostling with the broker, I was still near the entrance to the shop. When Windibank threw Nash over the counter, I felt a sharp pain in my arm. I pursued the man, but he shut himself in the storeroom. I could see him through the peephole. I see him through the peephole in the door, though. The accused, in a black coat, shot the man in the back as he was trying to flee to safety. I saw the blood splatter all over that wretched girl. Then she tossed the gun out of the peephole, so I picked it up and made my escape. Really? That's what you're going for? That's really what he's going for. Good gracious, this is quite the extraordinary testimony. He couldn't help but feel that I'm the smartest person in the room, so I'm just gonna lay it on thick. Yeah. You claim, sir, under oath, to have clearly seen the defendant pulling the trigger. Order! 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 Well, it wasn't your intention to testify at all. It wasn't my intention to testify this way. In this way. But neither is it my intention to be found guilty of a murder I didn't commit. You see, my hand has been forced. I tell the truth now as an act of self-preservation. The truth? Until now, the prosecution was completely unaware of these details. Yes, sorry about that. Having shot me in the arm, the pawnbroker was then shot in the back by the accused. And, as I said, she was showered in his blood. Okay, let's take a quick look at the court record. How would she have been showered in his blood if she shot him in the back? Sadly, we only see Gina with the gun in flashbacks. You say the blood splattered all over the accused coat. Are you sure on that point? Whoops, wrong button. Oh yes, quite sure. All over the black overcoat that pickpocket girl was wearing at the time. Really? If her coat could somehow be shown to harbor vestiges of blood, that would be conclusive evidence here. Sorry, it's not submittable as evidence. Such an investigation is entirely possible, my lord. What? Only very recently, a German scientist has developed a technique to identify human blood. So here's to true science, not some amateurish detective's dubious foray into the world of chemistry. There's nothing dubious about Hurley's work. His ideas are all sound. Ideas are of no use here. To us here. The science, as in law, theories must be proven before they stand. In Germany, the technique has already been employed in the courtroom as the basis of evidence. Scotland Yard has a small quantity of the chemical reagent used. With your lordship's permission, we could shatter all vestiges of doubt within minutes. This doesn't look good, Bruno. Why not? Well, we know, don't we, that there's blood all over the front of Jenny's coat. If they test it with their chemicals... Oh, help. You're right. I was forgetting what happened yesterday. Don't move, Jenny. I'm going to shoot. And her coat just lights up. But oddly, it's not covering her center. But that's not Mr. Windibank's blood. That's the stain from 2 months ago. That's Mr. Mason's blood. From when he was stabbed by McGilded, who was wearing the coat at the time. My lord, the defense objects to the test proposed by the prosecution. Yeah, this isn't great. This is not where you would object. Overruled. Lord Van Zykes, make it so at once. No. See, I would have asked one question. We know that that coat was McGilded's. Can this test tell the age of the coat, or tell the age of the blood? With pleasure, my lord. And while we await the results, the defense may proceed with the cross-examination. Once they find the blood on that blood on the overcoat, Gina will be... Counsel! Yes, my lord. Your cross-examination. Of course, my lord. Whoops. This cross-examination doesn't go well. Oh, whoops, hold on. If this cross-examination doesn't go well, if I don't manage to uncover some decisive evidence or really compelling clue now, I have a very bad feeling about the outcome of this trial. Yeah. In a moment of the shooting. Alright, let's take a look at what... Well... We'll just press. Mr. Windibank emerged from the storeroom, I believe? Ringo and Nash was scouring the counter when he suddenly appeared and flew at them. He already had the revolver in his hand. Fortunately, I wasn't too close. I have never been so scared in all my life. Yeah, we were just your regular mild-mannered burglars, that's all. We don't like violence. Says the pair who carry a gun. What do you mean when you say you were near the entrance of the shop? I was in the doorway, running my eyes over the shelves of forfeited items. Looking for the music box, of course. The broker went for Nash in the first place. Then Ringo joined in, making it 2 against 1. So I assumed they could handle the situation. But I was wrong. I was trying to help me little bruv, but the old geezer chucked me over the bloomin' counter. So I pulled me gun on the old fella, and that soon made him scarpa. The pair of you setting upon the poor defenseless pawnbroker together, shame on you. Ignoring the fact that he had a gun. Sorry, Gov. When Windibank threw Nash over the near... Don't generally read those. So you mean that's the moment you were shot? Yes, though I didn't immediately realize what had happened, of course. Things crashed to the floor from the counter as the 3 men were brawling. It was in that exact moment that it happened, so I didn't hear the gunshot. I'm sorry, what? What? You didn't hear the gunshot. Anyone who has heard a gun go off, there are few things louder than a gunshot. Like even a 22 is loud. 22 caliber, which would be close to, let's see, no, that's 223, that's not metric. You got 7.62, 5.56. So, let's see, that's 5.56 millimeters, I believe. Yeah, 5.56 is 5.56 millimeters. Is you know, to give you an idea. But they are, even your normal 22 rounds are exceptionally loud compared to a clatter of stuff. Like, that's ridiculous. And the bullet went on to strike the calendar on the wall behind you. So it would appear. When I looked at my arm, I saw it was bleeding badly, so I wrapped my handkerchief around it. Seeing as I couldn't explain what had happened to a doctor, I had no choice but to wait for it to heal. I didn't imagine it would still be bleeding 2 days later. You're lucky gangrene hasn't set in. Your arm should be damn near falling off right now. Did Mr. Windebank intend to shoot you, do you think? Well, now, I don't imagine he even noticed I was there, to be honest. Perhaps the gun went off accidentally. Anyway, it didn't quite strike home. When I pulled me gun on him, he tried to shove me out of the way. And then he scarpered for the door and out back. At which point, what did you do?
Hold it!
You mean you chased after him? I don't recall the reason why, but I ran after him to the back of the shop. And what about this peephole in the door you mentioned? Well, unsurprisingly, the storeroom door is a solid job. Made out of stout wood. Good old English oak. But there's a small opening in it about head height that lets you see what's what in there from the outside. Actually, I should know that, shouldn't I? I looked through it myself that night. And what about you burgling brothers? Did you see what went on through this peephole as well? Not likely, Gov. Didn't see nothing. Didn't see nothing of the sort, Gov. I doubt these two buffoons were even aware of the peephole's existence. So the Skulkin brothers were there, but they didn't see the killing of Mr. Windebank take place. Inside the storeroom, I could see the broker and that young girl standing there. The defendant? Yes, though neither of them noticed that I was looking. Of course not, I'm too good at storytelling. The girl raised her gun and pointed it straight at the man. And then what did you see next? The accused in the... That doesn't mesh with where the body was found.
Hold it!
Yes, and when the crime was discovered, the defendant was found with the gun in her hand. But that was Mr. Windebank's gun, from which only a single bullet had been fired. And as we've already established, Mr. Graydon, that bullet was fired at you. Ah, but no, it wasn't the broker's gun that the pickpocket girl had when I saw her. Yes, the bullet from Windebank's gun grazed my arm, and yes, the Skulkins brothers' gun grounded the detective. But this was another gun entirely, a third gun. The broker's gun was not the murder weapon, so clearly there had to be there had been a third firearm involved. In other words, the accused must have had her own gun with her at the time. If that was the case, she wouldn't need to use her gun, use his gun to threaten him. As an aside, do you think older guns were louder than newer ones? I just saw this. I'm sorry, Pokey. I would say they are probably they're probably about the same. But you see, she threw it out. She threw that gun out of the peephole where he was, and he took it. He picked it up and made off with it. For some reason. But no, the real question is, why would she... Why would she have used the pawnbroker's gun to threaten him if she had her own gun? Well, Swiss cheese is also losing a lot of its holes because of pasteurization. A photo taken. Yep.
Objection.
But no other gun was found at the scene. Calm yourself, counsel. I'm sorry. You must consider the events in order. At first I saw the broker and the girl glaring at each other, then all of a sudden, the broker turned to run. And it was at that moment that the little gutter rat shot him in the back. A chilling image, I must say. A chilling image, I must say. I lost his voice. I saw the blood splatter all over. Yes.
Hold it.
All over her? Yes, through the peephole. I saw it clearly. Of course, the stains are invisible now, what with the coat being such a dark color. But I assure you that garment is sullied with the victim's blood. Well, it's sullied with blood, that's for sure. But it's not Mr. Windibake's blood, is it? No, that's right. That's Mr. Mason Milverton's blood from when McGilded stabbed him 2 months ago. It's so annoying that they would only accept Hurley's chemical analysis. We could prove that. If they'd only accept Hurley's analysis, they'd prove it. We'd prove it. But they won't, so unfortunately we can't use that as evidence to support our case. If only you had shown... Well, it's okay. We've got this. The evidence for proving that the coat was already covered in blood is right here. One gentleman's overcoat. At 10:30 p.m. Father. Alright. Oops, I did the wrong thing. As much as I hate to admit it, I don't see any obvious holes in his testimony at the moment. I screwed up. But you have to find a way to break this man. Oh, I'll break him. Oh, hold on. As such, I hate to admit it, but I don't see any obvious holes in his testimony. Yep. And quickly, too, because once they discover the blood on the overcoat Gina was wearing, it's a bit strange he's so sure himself about seeing the blood splatter all over Ginny's coat. It doesn't strike me as the sort of thing you'd claim if you hadn't genuinely seen it happen. But we know that Gina didn't shoot Mr. Windermere. So what's going on? All I know is that it's very unfair. Why should some German scientist test be acceptable as evidence when mine and Hurley's wasn't? It's just the story of the life of history. Detectives can use test tubes too, you know. Never mind that, I have to find a really stark inconsistency in this testimony somewhere. And I have to find it before the prosecution discovers the bloodstain on Gina's coat.
Hold it!
Did you hear that? Did I hear that correctly? She threw the gun out of the room. That's right. After the broker fell onto the floor, she started walking over. Over where exactly? To the direction of the storeroom door, to where I was watching. Of course, I quickly retreated, and then the girl dropped the gun out the peephole onto the floor on my side of the door. But why on earth would she do such a thing? I couldn't tell you. Perhaps she was hoping to distance herself from the murder weapon. Without thinking, I went and picked it up. I suppose I was worried about just leaving it there in case any more tragedies took place. So it was you who, in fact, who took the third gun from the scene of the crime. Yes, it was yours truly. I don't think that Van Zykes is that into you. I left the clear up to my lackeys and left. Clear up? We'd made a bit of mess around the counter, so Mr. Whistle and Flute here told us to tidy up. He thinks he's our bloomin' mum sometimes. I was paying you enough, by God. Tell me, Mr. Graydon, when you left the pawnbrokery that night, was it by any chance with the second disc in your jacket pocket? You're like a bull at a gate, aren't you?
Excuse me.
Gentlemen, Something wrong, Sunshine? That should be my line. You do realize you were just violently shaking Mr. Skulkin. Blimey, this D's a bit of a hooligan, ain't he? What was going on just now? You saw him grab him. You saw him. He grabbed me whistle. Why the blazes? He said. Why the blazes? He said. Didn't you mention the third gun when we got you down to the station? And why didn't you? 'Cause we didn't know nothing about it, or that flaming hole and people in the door. Sorry about that. I can be prone to losing my rag sometimes. Not hurt, are you? God blimey. See the way he's looking at me. I'm telling you, this D is good. This D gives me the willies. That was strange. The inspector doesn't normally get quite as worked up as that. He wouldn't normally grab someone. No, that wasn't like Griggsy at all. He's normally all sweetness and light, no matter what I say to him. Yes, well, I think you might be a special case, Iris. Well, anyway, that was definitely out of character. I should know, I write the stories. My lord! Requesting your lordship's permission to interrupt the cross-examination. Explain yourself, officer. I have the results of the test that was ordered earlier, my lord. Ah, the blood. Ah, the blood. On the accused overcoat. Thank you, officer. No, thank you, officer. Very well, the cross-examination is hereby temporarily suspended again. I presume you have no objection, counsel. No, my lord. You could also just say that it's the same overcoat that was used, that McGilded was wearing at the time that he committed the murder of Mason... what was his last name? Nope. Milverton. Well, there you have it. The report, please, Inspector. Yes, sir. Traces of human blood were found on the overcoat of the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade. From the extent of the stains, it would appear that they were the result of splattering following a gunshot wound. Except for, with that much splatter, there'd be... End of report. Goodness me! Dashanai. See, what did I tell you? A pack of lies.
Objection.
No, the blood on that coat is not Mr. Windibank's. What on earth makes you say that, counsel? The coat originally belonged to Magnus McGilded. Just before his coat was deposited at Windibank's, McGilded had fatally stabbed Mr. Mason Milverton. So the blood on that overcoat is the blood of the brickmaker from the omnibus case.
Objection.
Well, then, the dead man cannot speak. Isn't that right, my Nipponese friend? Sorry. 2 months ago, in this very courtroom, did you not argue fervently for Mr. McGilded's innocence? And yet, now that the man is dead, you brand him as the murderer? Your conduct shatters any shredded respect you may have earned yourself in this country. But that was... I call it a bully disgrace, treachery. That's what it is. How to determine whether the blood on that coat is 2 months old or not? Even a stereoscope couldn't help with that answer. Help the answer to that problem pop out. Can't be done. But we used Mr. Sherlock specially for... Mr. Sholmes is a detective, not a chemist. Would you put such faith in a chemical formula devised by me, for example, when I'm a communications officer? Genetic fallacy. Writing off a piece of information because of the source. I held out Piroshki to Starving Boy. He ran away crying. Sherlock Sholmes is barely more than a figment of the public's imagination. Oh, whoops. Sherlock Sholmes is barely more than a figment of the public's imagination. His name carries no weight in this courtroom. No weight at all. How could you say that? When you arrested a man on his say-so, victory is sweet indeed. This proves that my testimony is the whole truth from start to finish. No, it really doesn't. God dang it. How do you arrive at such a conclusion, sir? As the witness said, the accused coat was splattered with blood of the victim. You don't know whose blood it is! The only way Mr. Graydon could possibly have known that fact is if he saw it happen. In other words, his testimony is solid, and the conclusion is singular. It was the accused who shot the victim in this case. That is the whole truth. Doshanoi. My lord! It's been a long battle, this one, but this old warhorse has something to say now, if you please. Foreman, Mr. Foreman. As of this moment, sir, the squadron has reached its final decision. Final. Real final. No, it's final. Revised final. Revised final. Final. Ready, men? All for one now. Sir!
Guilty.
Guilty.
Guilty. Guilty.
Guilty.
Guilty. Guilty. Well, it would appear that ladies and gentlemen of the jury have reached a unanimous verdict again. The defense has consistently failed to unpick the witness's testimony. Yeah, because you haven't... whatever. Here's to any attempt you make at unpicking the juror's decision being equally successful. I don't believe it. After I've come so far. I've come so far and fought so hard, but in the end, nothing really matters. How is it all unraveling so fast on me so fast? Save. How very distressing to be held in such low esteem. How very distressing to be held in such low esteem. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? Officer? You delivered the report now. That will be all, thank you. It occurs to me with some regularity, Mr. Naruhodo, that scientific truths are determined not by science, but by none other than the human mind. I know that voice. Am I going mad? Oops. Am I going mad? Ah! Suddenly his hair is sticking out. Mr. Sholmes. What is the meaning of this? What is the meaning of that pose? Order, order, order! What business do you have here, detective? The last I heard, you were recuperating in the hospital. As well I would be, had I not been set upon by an errand. What errand? Hurley! It's really you! You're awake at last! Yes, good day, Iris. I appear to be rather late to rise. My apologies. Now, my lord, if you would humor me. In what manner, sir? I have something of great importance I wish to give to the young lawyer over there. I need no more than 5 minutes if you would be so kind as to spare us the time. What say you to this, Lord Van Zykes? This trial has taken many hours of the court's time, having spent so long already. Exactly, having spent so long already, we don't want to go wasting any more precious time. As I was saying, having spent so long already, it would seem churlish to deny the defense a mere 5 minutes. Yeah! Very well then, counsel, you have 5 minutes. No more. My dear fellow, I apologize for my tardy arrival. Mr. Sholmes, are you all right now? All right. I'm all wrong. Sorry. I've only just managed to summon the strength to stand, man. I asked the judge for 5 minutes. But I fear even that may prove too much for me. Pray forgive me should I pass out. Let's make this discussion as short as possible. Hurley, this place is full of idiots. None of them can see how wonderful your chemical blood analysis is. Oh well, that concoction of mine was really just a bit of sport to assist me in my investigations. I never took the trouble to refine it for appraisal by scientific community, an oversight on my part. Right. Modesty? Surely not. But enough of that. I'm here to give you this, my dear fellow. What's that? A lavender furoshiki wrapping. A leaving present from Miss Susato. From Miss Susato? If possible, matters were to be settled without me giving you this. Those were her instructions when she asked me to do her this favor. I don't understand. Well, maybe you should open it. Miss Susato foresaw today's events, I believe. She knew that the culprit would attempt to escape justice by means both devious and underhanded. And that you, Mr. Naruhodo, fighting fairly as you are wont to do, would find yourself in considerable peril. At that very moment of crisis, you were to be given this small parcel. Those were the dear lady's instructions. A leaving A leaving present from Susato-san. Whatever could it be? What is this? Oh! It's the machine I made. Huh? Look, I used this. It's my latest invention. What is that? I call it the cat flap-o-mat. It can make cat flaps. It can make a cat flap for a little furry friend like Woggy in seconds. What's Susie up to? Miss Susato muttered muttered the following words before she left. I'm a failure. I don't deserve it to be a judicial assistant. What? Didn't she say something like that? Hmm. Uh-huh. Yeah. How has she... I still don't understand how she's been a complete failure. Whatever did she mean by that, Mr. Sholmes? That night, when you left Windibanks in pursuit of the thieves, Miss Susato made use of this contraption for a certain purpose. That is your answer, dear fellow. Oh, shit. Not all that cryptic then. Susato-san used this cat flap-o-matic that night, but why? The cat flap-o-matic has been... cat flap-o-mat has been entered into the court record. Your time is up. Your 5 minutes is over. We're out of time already? I'm grateful to you for affording us that brief recess, Mr. Reaper. I need no thanks, Detective. After all, the die is cast. Is it really? The jurors are unanimous in their leanings. No doubt my learned friend will consider a summation examination. But any attempt to alter their verdict now would be utterly futile. I wonder. Mr. Naruhodo? Yes? The rest is down to you, dear fellow. What is your plan? The rest is down to me. I need to be careful here. If I make a wrong move, the trial will end badly. I mean, it's technically gotta be a summation examination. Because the jurors are unanimous. And that triggers the summation examination. Now it's come to this. My only chance is to appeal to the jurors and try to change their minds. What do you think you're doing, Mr. Naruhodo? Sorry. What of Miss Susato's gracious gesture? Would you let this final piece of evidence she left you go to waste? Final piece of... This is not a time for an action. This is a time to hear from a witness. But it's not possible for me to bring a new witness to the stand at this point. I don't think that's what Hurley means, Bruno. Have you forgotten where we are in the trial? Ah. Aha! If the defense has nothing, if the defense has nothing more to add, I think we should proceed to adjudication. Wait, my lord, the defense requests further cross-examination. What?
Objection.
Yeah. The jurors have spoken. Protocol dictates that you may not cross-examine a new witness now.
Objection.
The defense is not the defense is not asking for the cross-examination of a new witness. Rather, to continue with one of the existing witnesses. What? It would appear that a rather important detail had escaped your attention, Mr. Reaper. My lord. Requesting your lordship's permission to interrupt the cross-examination. Ah. I completely missed that. If Bruno has to resume the cross-examination of Mr. Graydon, the court is obliged to allow it. This is absurd. It's your fault. I'm so weird sometimes. I would remind those present this is my courtroom. I concur that the defense is entirely within its rights to request a continuation of the cross-examination. However, I will not permit unremitting protraction of these proceedings. Therefore, I have decided to afford the defense one final opportunity to conclude the cross-examination. Counsel, you must choose one statement from the witness's testimony and but one piece of evidence to present to support your argument against it. A single chance to present evidence. If, following that, the situation remains unchanged, I shall move to adjudication. Is that clear, counsels? You will not press the witness any further. My lord. Yes, my lord. A single statement and a single piece of evidence. Most generous. Well then, Mr. Naruhodo. It's high time I fell in a dead faint. I leave this in your capable hands. Mr. Sholmes! Dramatic entry, dramatic exit. Again, facing across rather than towards. To stand so insouciantly before the court in a state of such high fever. Either the man has extraordinary strength of mind or an extraordinary lack of feeling. I mean, technically it's both when it comes to Sholmes. Or Holmes, I should say. Can't say to Sholmes, I haven't read those books. I imagine he's feeling very little now. The detective is sleeping soundly in one of the antechambers. Strike a man when he's down, why don't you? Well then, Counsel, are you fully prepared? Yes. One statement, one piece of evidence. I won't let you down. I won't let Mr. Sholmes down, or Iris. And what about Gina? And I won't waste this final chance that Susato-san has given me. This is going to decide the entire outcome of the trial. Very well then. Under the terms I have outlined, you may resume the cross-examination. Alright, so we're going to do a cheeky save. The moment of the shooting. Again! Sorry about that. Let me see. I want to look at these. 1:30 a.m. Okay.
Objection.
You gotta be kidding me. That should have been it. I mean, that should have worked, because there's no people in that image. Like, if we look at the image, I know it wants me to use this. But at the same time, if... Oh crap, that's not what I meant to do. I hit Y instead of A. Shouldn't I? So you can see here, versus here. That should work, technically.
Objection.
What on earth is that eccentric contraption, Counsel? Oh, it's my cat flapomatic. Cat flapomat, my lord. It makes a way for cats to get in and out of a room. It can cut through any door you can think of and make a new little door in the middle of it. That's right, my lord. It's a device for creating so-called cat flaps. Small doors for cats to come in and come and go as they please without their owners having to open the main door. I'm sure we can all work that out for ourselves. But that cat lover's contrivance has no possible relevance to this case. Oh, really? Of course it doesn't. To start with, there was no cat flap in the pawnbroker's door. It only cuts through doors, though, not windows. Well, windows are glass. Not being a keeper of cats myself, I'm afraid I failed to see what this has to do with the matter at hand. Perhaps it would help if I described its function in another way, then. This contraption is able to create a peephole in any door you can imagine in practically no time at all. I beg your pardon, a peephole, you say? 2 nights ago, we arrived at the scene only minutes after the murder of Mr. Windibank had taken place. That's right. According to the paperwork at the yard, it was you, your Japanese assistant, and Shulms. I want to double check something. If we go to... Wait, no, it's going to be here. No, it's representation paper. Where is autopsy? Okay. Yes, the 3 of us were together, and it's recently come to my attention that my assistant made use of this device at the time. Your assistant did what? There was a peephole in the storeroom. I can attest to that. Storeroom door. I can attest to that. Because I looked through the peephole myself in order to see inside the locked storeroom. This is ludicrous. What are you trying to say? Of course there was a peephole in the door. I said as much in my testimony. How else could I have witnessed the crime, for pity's sake? That's just it. Yes. How could you? What? Counsel, kindly say what you mean, and mean what you say. All right, it's time to strike the final blow. What I mean is this, my lord. My assistant made the peephole in the storeroom, and until such time as she did, the door had no hole in it to look through. What? No!
Objection!
This is a farce. Are you really suggesting that the peephole in the door was... Yes, it was created only after the incident had taken place by my judicial assistant using this device. Your assistant tampered with the crime scene while being fully aware of the gravity of her actions? That is a most serious act of vandalism, for which I humbly apologize, my lord. Actually, it wasn't until after the peephole was created that it was determined to be a serious crime scene. It was in the few minutes that I had left the scene in order to pursue the Skulkin brothers and alert the police. Nevertheless, in light of this new information, it becomes apparent that Mr. Graydon's testimony is riddled with holes. Riddled with, explain yourself, counsel. The majority of Mr. Graydon's testimony that appears to incriminate the defendant is based upon what he witnessed through the peephole in the storeroom door. Yes, that filthy girl shooting the man in the back. However, if at the time of the incident, that peephole did not yet exist in the door, there's no possible way that you could have seen what you claim to have seen. Ugh. In short, your entire testimony is a pack of lies. Order, order, order! Is there any credence to this in this revelation?
Objection!
None whatsoever, as my learned friend must surely realize. Exactly! This is just some cheap trick designed to discredit me. I'm afraid not, sir. Of course it is! Do you seriously expect people to believe that the plaything can cut through a solid wooden door? Oh yes, I designed it to be very powerful. It can cut through even the toughest of doors. That's absurd! I don't believe it for a second! I had a feeling you'd say that. What? Waggy, cooey? Time for dinner! Well? Young lady, this is the Old Bailey, and one does not make cat flaps in the oak panel at the Old Bailey. I'm not done yet. Don't worry. This doesn't mean the peephole in the storeroom door at Windibanks was made by your machine. And there's no way you can prove that it was. No, but it's easy. What? Cat flaps in my cat crate are all fixed of a fixed size. And the dimensions of the people at Windibanks are exactly the same size. Oh, Silky's lost for words. Excellent work, Iris. Thank you. And now it is my learned students' friends' turn to be lost for words, I feel. I believe your judicial assistant has already left the country for your Eastern Island home. Well, yes, that's true. Then you may have some difficulty establishing all the facts. Not really. I've already done that legwork. For the sake of argument, let's assume that the people has dimensions that are perfectly fit to this contraption. In that case, when was the peephole cut? The prosecution demands proof of your answer. What is the purpose of your line of inquiry, Lord Van Zykes? It's very simple, my lord. The defense argues that the peephole was created after the incident using this device, but now that the perpetrator has returned to her native land, she cannot testify to the fact. There is no proof. There is proof. Ugh. And for as long as the defense remains unable to prove that when the peephole was made, my learned friend's claim amounts to nothing more than a baseless accusation. Just give me the chance! Before you have him freak out. Indeed that is so, Lord Van Zykes. Well, counsel. Don't give up now, Runo. This is the last time. This is the time to create your own opening and force your way through. You can do it. I don't know if I can do this, but I do know one thing. Susato-san is the greatest judicial assistant in the world. Very well. The counsel for the defense will present evidence to support the claim made. Proof that the people in the door of Windibank's storeroom was created after the event, not before. Doop-a-doo. Doop-a-doo.
Take that!
What are you? A print from the detective's infernal cameras again? My judicial assistant, Miss Susato Mikatoba, is an extremely intelligent and capable woman, which is why I never had any cause to doubt that she would have considered this scenario and made sure I had the necessary proof. And the necessary proof is this photographic print, counsel. This print shows the scene of the shop moments after the defendant entered the premises. Agreed. And it also shows the accused mercilessly wielding a gun in the direction of the defenseless broker. But, more to the point, it pictures the storeroom door in the background. Let me see that print again. I don't believe it. There really is quite a remarkable door to This really is quite remarkable. The door to the storeroom is completely devoid of a peephole of any description. Mr. Graydon, you couldn't possibly have witnessed the crime as you claim to have done. Because at the time it happened, there was no peephole in the door. Ugh. In other words, your testimony is a catalog of lies. Ugh. Order, order, order! I am satisfied by that the defense has substantiated its claim beyond all reasonable doubt. This witness's testimony was entirely fallacious. That's not the only thing we know beyond a reasonable doubt. My learned friend's assistant's guilt can no longer be denied. The woman tampered with the crime scene. But more importantly, good lord, there's more, Van Zykes. The defense may have established a reprehensible instance of perjury. How? But that is no proof that this man is the victim's killer. Yes, that's right. What? I was there at the scene, it's true. And I was shot in the arm, it's true. But that's all. Yes, in fact, if you look at the circumstances, I am the victim here. Oh, please. No. Oh my god. What is this bullshit? I don't believe this. But they're right. As it stands now, I don't have any definitive proof that he is the culprit. Still, he can't worm his way out of it now. Iris, you know what they say? There's no point in locking the cat's door after the cat has bolted. Isn't that right, Runo? As Hurley always says, one lie begets another. No, wait, that might have been the line I wrote for him in one of my stories. Well, no matter who said it first, you're right. Mr. Graydon, I shot the sheriff, but I didn't shoot the deputy. My introduction to that song was from the episode of Eureka that featured it. Not only did you give false testimony to the court, but the lies you told make no sense. Make no sense? What do you mean by such a remark? What you said in your testimony reveals that you know something you shouldn't have known. In other words, there's a fundamental inconsistency in your statements. What?
Objection!
That is provocative talk, counsel. That is provocative talk, counsel. Won't you enlighten the court? Explain your alleged inconsistency. Iris was right. One lie begets another. The inconsistency is revealed by the lies within the witness's statements. Blah, blah, blah. They show that Mr. Graydon had knowledge of something he shouldn't have known anything about, namely the bloodstains on the coat. The bloodstains that were present on Miss Lestrade's coat. That's right, the victim's blood splattered all over her when she shot him. But how could you possibly have known that? Obviously, because I saw her do it through the people in the... I don't think you'll make it to the end in 30 minutes, but there's probably an hour more after. Not sure. I'm just looking at a guide that shows how many options to select there will be, not how much dialogue. I don't think we will power through today, Pokey. The point is not that you lied in your testimony, Mr. Graydon. It's the nature of the lie you concocted that is so revealing. You're not making any sense. Now let me ask you a simple question. How is it, Mr. Graydon, that you knew the existence of the people in the storeroom door? What? Well, obviously, I... Has the cart got your tongue, witness? The people in the door was made after the incident occurred. And once I returned to the shop, having failed to catch the two burglars. Scotland Yard's investigators arrived immediately. Since that time, the police have been at Windibanks constantly carrying out their investigation. Isn't that right, Inspector Gregson? Well, yes, of course. I'm going all over the place, I'm sorry. The place is chock full of pawned articles. My lads have to go through and examine them all. So I gave the order to have officers working around the clock in shifts so we get through it all. And consequently, there's no way that you, Mr. Graydon, could have gained access to the shop. Therefore, you should have known nothing about the people in the storeroom. So the fact that its existence forms the basis of your testimony is completely inexplicable.
Objection!
And yet, the fact remains that Mr. Graydon did maintain that he witnessed the crime take place through the peephole in the door. How on earth is that possible? Could I have a word, please, Lord Van Zykes? Speak, Inspector. It's just that I really ought to be getting back to the station now. Put my put in my report. There's really nothing more I can add to this testimony. So, if it's all the same to you, really, Gregson, you. Permission denied. Oh. Is it not all the It is not all the same to me, Inspector. Not at all. You will remain exactly where you are until this trial concludes. Of course, sir. Mr. Graydon. You shouldn't have known about the existence of that people. Which can only mean that you must have been informed about it by somebody else.
Objection!
Stop there, my learned friend. You realize, I trust, that the words you just uttered have extremely serious implications. Yes. But the defense believes that the details about the case that Mr. Gregson claims to have seen must have been revealed to him by a certain person before this testimony. And in fact, considering a particular clue we have, there's really only one person that could be. Who is the person in question, Counsel? All right, let's see.
Take that!
The truth is, it can only have been you, Inspector Gregson. Me. You had better have some proof to substantiate your rash claims, my learned friend. Consider the fact that we have only been aware of Mr. Ashley Graydon's identity for the last few hours. We learnt of it only during the course of the trial today. Indeed, preparations for his testimony were made with great urgency during the hour-long recess, while the police executed the subpoena and brought the man here from the communication station. And until that time, Mr. Graydon would have no idea, no inkling that he would suddenly be required to appear in court. Are you suggesting until such time as he was summoned? Yes, my lord. Until then, it's reasonable to assume he knew nothing of the people. It was only once Mr. Graydon was in the stand that he realized his position. That he would have to defend himself against the accusation that he was the third intruder. You're suggesting to the court that it was while this trial was in progress that he received the information, so that he could commit perjury in order to save his skin. Exactly. And the only person with knowledge of the investigation that he had any contact with is you, Inspector Gregson. This is a bloomin' outrage! Why would I be giving any details of our investigation to this fella, eh? I was summoned to his lordship's chamber during the recess in any case. Had you forgotten that? Quite true. I had a number of questions regarding the events that transpired at the pawnbrokery. Which means the first time these two laid eyes on each other was after proceedings resumed following the recess. Since then, they've been in full view of the stand, where such illicit discussions couldn't possibly have occurred. Ah! Oh, I just remembered something, Bruno. What is it, Iris? There was one time before, wasn't there? I think it was when Ginny was testifying. Oh yes, now that you mention it. When the bailiff was dispatched to retrieve McGilda's music box from the scene of the crime. That's it. It was during that testimony. I remember finding it strange at the time. Mr. Graydon and the inspector seemed to be having some kind of secret discussion. It would have been possible for you to give Mr. Graydon the information he needed then. You little toe rag! You're making this all up! I'm a respectable Scotland Yard inspector, for crying out loud. Why would I do something like that? Why would I be giving away confidential details to the likes of this bloke? Admit it. Admittedly, you don't have had any reason to do something like that. For no gain. Oh no. But perhaps it was part of a deal of some kind. Then it starts to make more sense. What deal, counsel? I wonder if perhaps in exchange for details about the people at the crime scene, Mr. Graydon agreed to give a certain something to the inspector. I'm sure I need not remind the inspector that, if found to be true, striking a deal of any kind with a witness would be considered a gross case of malfeasance.
Objection!
It's becoming clear that jumping in with accusations is this Nipponese student's specialty. Nah, I don't do that. But with the stakes so high, the prosecution is not prepared to listen to baseless charges. It is incumbent upon the defense now to present evidence to support the diabolical claim. Evidence? Just what are you proposing the inspector demanded of the witness in return? The court must see proof of this alleged deal. If Inspector Gregson really did strike a deal with Mr. Graydon, then logically there is only one thing he could have asked for. That must be it. Bruno, do you think it could be? Yes. It's the missing link that would join all the dots together in this puzzle. I must press you for an answer now, Counsel. What evidence explains the nature of the deal that Mr. Inspector Gregson made with the witness? I'm fairly sure that this is the right answer. It could also be the music box.
Take that!
Inspector Gregson? Besides this murder, is it not true you've been working on another very important case? What are you getting at now, Sunshine? Is it possible that this other top secret case is what's alluded to here in the newspaper article? Alluded to in this newspaper article here? The classified secrets being leaked overseas from the Ministry of Justice? How the bleeding Nora could you? We discovered during the course of this trial that the music box deposited at Windibanks by Magnus McGilded, a special music box designed to play 2 discs at once, would seem very likely now that encoded on the pair of discs that were in McGilded's possession are the leaked classified secrets. So I put it to you, Inspector, that in order to receive the second of the discs containing those secrets, you covertly made a deal with Mr. Gregson, in which you exchanged the discs for details of the case. You little Order! On the day of the incident, when we met you at Windibanks, you said this. I'll be taking that. Whatever it is of McGilded's down to the yacht. Thank you very much. So hand it over. No, don't do it. Don't give it to him. It's mine. That is, it's mine. I'm sorry, miss. But anything belonging to McGilded has to be taken in as evidence now. Oh yeah, you can see the music box back there. Scotland Yard already knew at the time. Isn't that right? That Magnus McGilded was involved in the stealing of government secrets. My orders were recover the medium used to convey the secrets leaked from the ministry, and do it in a QT, strictly hush-hush. And that explains why, when I presented this disc as evidence to the court, you objected so heavily, I presume. Because you knew that it contained highly confidential information. Blimey, not likely. I mean, I wasn't that sure of it myself. I realized there was a possibility, that's all. Inspector, surely you're not saying that in order to acquire the second of these music box discs, you did indeed reveal confidential details of the crime scene to the witness. To aid and abet this man in giving false testimony. There's no other way Mr. Graydon could have known about the existence of the peephole. It's the only explanation. A deal was struck between those two men.
Objection!
If, and I stress if, this sobering assertion turns out to be founded in truth, it would mean that the second disc is, as we speak, here in this very courtroom. Wait, what? You're in this courtroom? How could you possibly make a claim like that? Because Inspector Gregson is a Scotland Yard detective. What? What's that supposed to mean, eh? As a seasoned policeman, the inspector will have approached this alleged deal with caution. Certainly, he would not have accepted the gentleman's agreement in this matter. No. He would have insisted on having the article agreed upon in the palm of his hand. Good gracious, then you mean to say... Inspector Gregson already has the item in question in his possession. He has the second disc actually on his person.
Yes!
The defense demands the inspector is searched at once. Definitely. They could only have struck a deal with each other when Jenny was testifying before, and Gregsy hasn't moved from the witness stand since. My lord, please order an examination of his personal effects immediately. Well, Inspector? This young man wants to tone down his imagination. He's insulted me and my profession quite enough. However, if it'll put matters to bed to dispel any doubts about my involvement, then I'll happily submit to a body search. What? He's going to agree to it? I presume you're now aware of the precipice on which you now teeter, my learned student friend. You've made a most serious allegation against Scotland Yard here. If, following the search, the inspector's person, there's no disc found, you will be deemed unfit for court service. This trial will end, and my country's government will formally demand that you are severely reprimanded. That sounds serious. No. Indeed, to have a visiting student make such a defamatory remarks about our country's most senior police force. That's entirely possible. It's not something Her Majesty's government will be able to overlook. You're just threatening Runo because you're scared. The accusation is beyond serious. You must be prepared for grave consequences. It's true. I can't imagine Gregson would have accepted a gentleman's agreement for something so critical. The disc must have physically changed hands, which means the inspector should have it. But somehow, something doesn't feel quite right here. Very well, counsel. You know the implications, so let me ask you one final time. Yes, my lord. Do you still persist in formally requesting a search of the inspectors? Search someone else? We'll do a quick save. Yes, the defense formally demands the search be conducted. Well, don't say you weren't warned. You're not, but your typical Nipponi stubbornness may well land you in the hot water this time. Perhaps the lesson will do you some good. Fair enough. I've got nothing to hide. Very well then. Bailiff, conduct a search of the inspector's person. The defense demands a search, but not of the Inspector Gregson. What? Now what's all this? I'm the one you're accusing, aren't I? Thought you wanted to search me. No, Inspector, not you. Somebody else. What's the meaning of this, eh? Lost it at last. Whoops, hold on. Lost it at last, have you, Sunshine? The courtroom shouldn't have to put up with this nonsense. You're being completely irrational. Be quiet, all of you! Oh. Runo's doing what you all told him to do, and having the courage of his convictions. So you should respect that and listen to what he has to say in good faith. Because that's the British way. Well said, young lady. Indeed, this court is in awe of the defense counsel's conviction and eagerly awaits his next words. You what? Now don't be hasty, my lord. If I'm not mistaken about the things I've seen in court today, I'm fairly sure that I know who has the disc at this moment. There's only one person it can be. Counsel, of whom do you request this to be searched now?
Take that!
Oh, my lord? Mr. Nash Skulkin. Well, I never. Blimey. Me? Him? Very well then, bailiff. Restrain the witness and conduct a thorough search of his personal effects. Please, my lord. Inspector. Scotland Yard, has to object to this search.
Objection!
Unfortunately for you, Inspector, your objections carry no weight here. Eh? In this courtroom, only the prosecution and the defense have the authority to object. But Lord Van Zykes, I have no idea what forces are in play that might influence your actions. But personally, I have no intention of obstructing the course of this trial, any more than I already have. Ugh. Bailiff, carry out the search. Now, hold on a mo. I don't want nothing about no disc. Cut it out! Ah, here, my lord. In the witness's pocket. I found this. Good lord, that's another music box disc. I don't know nothing about it, nothing. That is the second music box disc left behind by Magnus McGilded. Is it not Inspector Gregson? Oh! Order, order, order! Mr. Skulkin, what have you to say for yourself? Gordon Flamin' Bennett. I swear, I didn't know nothing about that disc, honest to God. Counsel, would you please explain what exactly is going on here? The alleged deal that was struck was between this witness and this detective, no? Without question, my lord. Then, for pity's sake, why on earth was this man in possession of the disc that the inspector had traded traded it for information? Inspector Gregson is a shrewd, calculating man who rarely loses his composure. But at one point in this trial, he exhibited some unusual behavior for a brief moment. I don't recall what unusual behavior. It was, yes, during my cross-examination of Mr. Graydon. Tell me, Mr. Graydon, when you left the pawnbrokery that night, was it by chance with the second disc in your jacket pocket? I admit nothing. Yeah, we've seen this. That does not look nearly as violent as it was before, and he's only using one hand. Oh, whoops. While Mr. Graydon answered my questions, the inspector appeared to have grabbed Nash Skulkin by his coat and was shaking him violently. Yeah, he did and all. Thought me noggin was gonna fall clean off, I did. I was wishing I'd been born by as me brother was. And what exactly happened to make the detective attack you like that? I ain't got no clue. He just suddenly turned and grabbed me, whistle like that, and started shaking me. Why the blazes didn't you mention the third gun when we got you down at the station? That's what he said. Yelling it right down my ear hole, he did. I mean, Ed's still throbbing now. The way the detective behaved that then was extremely out of character. But looking back now, it must have been then that he did it. That was the opportunity the Inspector Grayson created for himself in order to hide the disc. Well, I bless my wig. He hit it. You... But I'm afraid I failed to comprehend the motive here. If the detective had acquired the disc he was after, why on earth would he proceed to hide it in another man's pocket? This is a court of law. He could have submitted the item as evidence. It will appear, my lord, that the inspector was not at liberty to do that. Why ever not? As the man himself revealed earlier, his current assignment has some special conditions. Hush, hush. A top-secret assignment, is it? As far as we're aware, the information stolen comes from confidential government communications. It would seem that if the information were to be revealed in court as evidence, it would be problematic. Does that sum up the situation, Inspector? I'm operating under direct orders from the Ministry. I'm afraid I'm not at liberty to answer the question. So, realizing there was a chance that you may be searched here, there was a chance you may be searched here in court. You took steps to hide the disc you had acquired from the witness. Ah, does this mean he only pretended to attack Mr. Skulkin in order to get close enough to him to slip the second disc into his pocket? Those have got to be some giant pockets. So it was all a pretense. Well, now, Inspector Grayson, and you, Mr. Graydon, are you prepared to admit to the accusation against you of this alleged deal? Admit to it. Yours truly, please. Mr. Graydon. Mr. Graydon. Clearly, our Eastern visitor has uncommonly active imagination. However, there is no proof that I passed this disc to the inspector.
Objection.
But then, how do you explain the reason why you knew about the people? I'm under no obligation to explain. Actually, in this instance, you would be. Because somehow you knew information that you absolutely should not have known. What? Yes, I lied in my testimony, that I admit, so sentence me accordingly. But that is all I admit. Murder, leaking government secrets, striking a deal with the detective. All of this is this young Eastern man's fancy. I have no idea what any of this is about. You, what? All right. We're going to pause here, and we will continue this hopefully next week. Lately, I've been a bit too spotty for even my own tastes. on the Great Ace Attorney. So we'll see. But until then, I do want to say you have one more thing to present, and everything else is just reading. That's fine. We can present it. We can present it next time. But anyways, until then, I will see you all tomorrow. But until then, take care of yourselves, and goodbye.